everybody. Welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is Ben Foster.
Hello, mate.
Good, mate. How are you? You didn't even ask.
No, I was about to say, do you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
No, I didn't. Man City won the league, but we're not here to talk about that.
They were always going to win it, weren't they? Come on.
Yeah. We're going to talk about sack race. Time to sack or not. But it's not just going to be about the manager because it's the end of the season. I'm going to try and get Ben, Nice, Foster on the spot with some players. What we're effectively going to do is we're going to talk about Ten Hag and whether he should go or not, and you're definitely answering that. But it is the summer. We're going to have a bit of a tennis match where we throw a serve back at each other about players, and you've got to answer it. So if you said to me, Casemiro, I've got to say whether I'd sell or keep. I can't sit on the fence. Sell. Yeah, but we've got to do more than that. So let's get into it. We're going to start off with Erik Ten Hag. Another win for Manchester United yesterday. Beat Newcastle midweek since we last spoke. FA Cup's coming up. 60 points. Joint 7th, but technically 8th because of goal difference. Not our worst ever Premier League points total. Beat the 58 of 2 years ago. What are your thoughts on Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag?
I think a lot depends on the FA Cup final. I think the season will probably be defined on that FA Cup final. If it wouldn't surprise me if United went and won it. It really wouldn't surprise me. But then it wouldn't surprise me if it was It wouldn't surprise me if it's 7-0 also. So I don't know. I think a lot will kind of look at this season through how that FA Cup final goes. I think it's been a disappointing season for Manchester United. A lot of players have done themselves no, what's the word, like sort of justice really, I suppose. They've probably harmed their Manchester United careers. And it could all be glossed over if they go and beat Man City next week.
Massive amounts of injuries. We've seen that damage Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea season. Massive amount of injuries. Selfish Glazers not selling the club last summer, doing it at Christmas has been very, very big. Ignoring the January transfer window, not having a left-back brought in all season. The off-field stuff with Sancho, Anthony, Rashford. There's mitigating circumstances that don't put it all on the manager. Why would the FA Cup final be the trigger to sack Ten Hag? I'm interested in what you think on this, because my thing, and the viewers will know, is that you should know already. All those lists, all those things you've seen, why would you make your mind up on playing the best team in England, who are, it's David versus Goliath anyway. It's almost like you can't make your mind up on sacking him on that. That can't be the factor. They should have done it already.
I think they've already made the decision.
But it might change it if he wins.
No, do you know what? I just don't think there's anybody available.
No.
I think that's the massive problem, is that there's nobody really available to kind of really take it. I think
Is there anyone you would go for?
No, not necessarily.
I fancy Tuchel, Southgate, Potter.
Not particularly. I think you need a juicy one. You need a big juicy one. I know obviously De Zerbi's just left Brighton and there'll be people linking that. But even then, I think Man United's a different ball game. It is. Man United's a different ball game than anybody, than really anybody. And I think Man United needs somebody who's going to really take the bull by the horns and really have a proper structure of what they want to do. And I just don't think there's anybody available to do that. I would not be surprised if he stays now. I really wouldn't be surprised if he stayed now. I find it really strange though, that they've waited this long.
Yeah, I do as well. And I think just on De Zerbi there, I saw that Beth was talking about it earlier, and he spoke about how, you know, he's not got a job lined up and he'd love to manage in the Premier League again.
He definitely has got a job lined up.
Do you think?
100%.
Well, it won't be a job in the Premier League because he had a release clause. Somebody's got to pay that. He can't just leave a club and then go to another Premier League club.
I don't know where or what, but I guarantee you he's got a job lined up already. 100%. You don't just leave your job. You don't just...
Unless Brighton have had enough of him.
I don't think they've had enough of him. I think they've probably... Brighton, the way Brighton do it, they're actually quite a respectful club, and they're very good at the way that they work with stuff. They would rather this not linger on the way Manchester United have let it linger on. They probably gone, right, we know who we're going to replace him with, so that's fine. Let's just cut our losses. You go your way, we go our way. But he's definitely got a club lined up. Promise you.
As a player, FA Cup final coming up for Manchester United... what would you rather do if you were a Man United player this week? Would you rather the club didn't announce that Ten Hag was staying until after the final, or would you rather they announced it today? What would that do for you as a player?
They've got to announce it afterwards.
Would it not give you a boost going into it?
No.
Well, this is an interesting insight then.
If they announced it beforehand, it's just... What it does is, when that manager is standing on the sideline, every player would be looking at him, going, "Well, you're not even going to be here next week. You're not going to be here next week."
What if he was staying?
Yeah, to an extent, but I just think
that might damage the players who think they're going.
I think what it does though is just it's another news story that will probably be the biggest news story, wouldn't it? That will be leading up to that week. So I think what Man United are trying to do is, having just won the game at the weekend as well against Brighton, is probably just sort of go under the radar this week.
Yeah.
It's just go under the radar, try and get all their prep done at Carrington really nicely, really well, try and keep everybody's confidence high, and go into that game off the back of 2 really good wins, to be fair. Because to beat Newcastle, Brighton, it's a tough thing. It's a tough ask, There's not many teams that have done that this season. So they've prepped in a good way for the final in terms of winning the Premier League games. And I reckon they just want to go into that game now off the back of no scandal, no big announcements.
Interesting, isn't it? Because I'd love them to announce it, thinking it might be a positive, but actually, your insight there is that it could be quite, distracting on a week that's massive for Man United. So, 2 things: will Ten Hag be Man United's manager next season? Would you keep him as Man United manager next season? Because I know you've said no a lot, and then now you're sort of thinking yeah, which is not unusual. Gary Neville's done the same. Roy Keane's done the same. I'm sure there's a lot of fans who've done the same. What's your thoughts?
I just don't think it changes anything. I don't think sacking him or not sacking him changes anything.
No, I sort of agree.
Do you know what I mean? I think
it makes it harder for the new manager, actually, because it could get worse next season, and a new manager comes in, and if Ineos sack Ten Hag, it's not an obvious thing to do.
Yeah.
So if you sack Ten Hag and bring a new manager and it goes wrong, it really looks bad on Ineos. Whereas if you keep Ten Hag and it goes wrong, they can go, well, we've given him another chance and he's not the guy. So
right, look at it this way, right? Okay, Man City have just won their 4th Premier League title in a row. Okay, who is the most important thing to that Man City team? What person, over all the playing staff, coaching staff, who is the most important person, would you say?
Well, it's an amazing structure, but it's Pep.
It's Pep, isn't it? Thank you. I'm glad you said that, right? Pep is in charge for Man City next season. I would say they're probably going to win the Premier League again next season, yeah? If Pep announced after the game yesterday, right, that he's leaving Man City, I guarantee you, everybody would go, well, Man City aren't going to win the league next season. And you'd think that as well, wouldn't you? And I'd think that as well. There's only a couple real top managers in the world. Klopp's just left Liverpool, so that's going to really, I think that will be trouble for Liverpool. And Pep Guardiola. And that's how important a top manager is.
I actually do think they still win the league.
Do you?
I think me and you could manage Man City.
No, I totally disagree.
I think it's a piece of piss.
I don't. I disagree, mate.
I think Pep would fail at Man United.
I think Pep would do incredible at Manchester United.
With Scott McTominay?
No, he'd do a much better job. Do you know why, though? It's because everybody works harder when they're working for a manager that they really buy into and really respect.
Can't polish a turd.
I think he would be able to shine it a little bit. Just give it a little bit of a buff.
Yeah, but he wouldn't get him in a title race. He'd need a lot of money.
You're asking a lot to get him in the title race, but it would massively harm Man City if he left them. To the point where I don't think they'd be favourites to win. Well, they probably would be favourites still to win the Premier League, but I would say I'd fancy.
They'd only win it by 10.
No.
So you're not sacking Ten Hag?
I don't know.
And neither's Ineos. You can't. I've told you can't do this.
I don't know if I would or not, and I don't see what the point would be, and I don't see what the.
That means you can't.
What would you do?
I'd keep him, 100%.
But do you know?
Because there's going to be an upright. The way I would look at it is there's 100% going to be an upturn next season. You can't have that injury crisis again. You can't ignore the January transfer window again. You can't sell the club halfway through the season again. You won't have a Jadon Sancho again. You won't have Rashford on the piss again. Like, you can't have all that in one season.
Why can't you?
And we still only finished 8 points off Villa. All that's worth. Man United will get 70 points next year, so you could be back in 4th place. And all that would happen with Ten Hag. We've seen in the last 2 games that despite this, what I'm really impressed with is that we saw it with Mourinho, we saw it with Oli, we saw it with Rangnick. This end of days, downing of tools, you lose to Newcastle, you lose to Brighton, they're a good team. Somehow that team still found a way to get a clean sheet, beat Brighton, and beat a good Newcastle team who's just been to Brentford and win. For me, if you sack Ten Hag, it's like you said, there's no upturn because there's no obvious coach. And also, I guarantee it's going to work better with Ten Hag next season, and you don't spend any money changing that. And on top of that, if it does go wrong next season, I think everyone like myself who's Ten Hag in would say, well, it's year 3 now, he's not the right guy. It's just an open goal for Ineos, financially, to stick with him, because I think there's a big chance of an upturn. And if you change it, you've got to spend money. And De Zerbi's not necessarily an upturn, is it? It could be a downturn. Tuchel could be a downturn. I just think it's an obvious thing to keep him.
Yeah, but you've listed off a load of things there, like Rashford can't do this again. There can't be an injury crack. They can't. But there will be different things. I bet you there'll be different things.
But that's where what's the priority for you this summer transfer window? For me, you can't keep that squad. You've got to buy.
What is the priority?
You've got to sell 10 to 15 players, and you've got to bring 7 or 8 in.
You ain't going to sell them though.
But that's where you've got to put your energy. You go for a manager, you're wasting probably half the summer transfer.
You have got to put your energy there. But I don't know if I said it on this show last week or the week before or what. But once clubs know that you are a selling club and you want to sell these players, almost desperate to sell these players, right? Clubs will take the piss, Mark, I swear. Clubs will absolutely take the mick out of you because they'll have your pants down and go, well, you want to get rid of him, do you? And he's on 150 grand a week as well, is he? Well, we can't really pay a transfer fee. We'll just cover his wages.
But they have got assets. I mean, look, Mason Greenwood, there'll be clubs on the continent queuing up for him.
Who?
Napoli, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, 35 million?
I don't think so.
I do.
I don't.
He's probably the easiest one to sell. Scott McTominay, you'd sell him.
You'd sell Scott McTominay. So you know why you'd sell Scott McTominay?
He's a model. He's a steady Eddie.
He's a worker, mate. He's a worker.
I mean, he'd work for an Everton, wouldn't he?
He'd work really well. And one of them teams would pay 30 mil for Scott McTominay.
So you've probably got 60 million there.
Yeah.
Harry Maguire, again, similar to McTominay, there would be somebody who'd go, there's 25 million.
But you also got to understand that these players have to agree to the move as well. Do you know
I'll
that?
sort
yeah?
that out.
No,
I'll fucking sort that out. I'll be outside the training ground with a banner.
It's like somebody coming.
Time to go.
It's like somebody coming to you and saying, right, you've been the bid's coming from you from South London. Yeah, it's only about 3 hours away from where you live right now, right? Okay, that's where you're going, and the player will go, no, absolutely no chance. I'm settled here, thanks very much. My kids are in school. We've got a nice little life. I'm on 200 grand a week. I ain't going nowhere.
It's terrifying. Mate. That's how football works, isn't it?
Yes, no, that's real life. That's human though. Like, why would you want to go and move halfway around the country?
You're a bloody professional footballer.
And
get on
join
with it.
another football club that you don't know the area, you don't know the football club. You're at Man United. It's cushy. You're on 200 grand a week.
If Dundee United gave me a year contract, I'd be off.
They'd never give you a year contract.
Yeah, well, I'd be off. I'd be there.
It'd be a week-to-week rolling.
Yeah, I'd be living in Dundee. Right. You were meant to ask me this, but snooze you lose. What would you do with Marcus Rashford? He didn't want this.
No,
he didn't want this. He said before the show, don't give me a hard one.
No, you said
I'm looking for interviews next year.
You said to me the other week you'll get...
You're never coming on the Foster.
You said to me you'd get 80 mil for Rashford, you said. I'm sure. You said you'll get 80 mil for Rashford.
I'd sell Rashford.
Yeah, but
there's the clip.
Who's going to buy him?
No, but would you sell him?
I think
if I'm PSG and I said, you're the CEO, Ben, look, I've not been to the pub, and I am of sound mind. I'll give you £80 million for Marcus Rashford now.
Right. Do you know what I think is the best way to approach this is for Ineos and for Erik Ten Hag to sit down with Marcus Rashford.
You're buying time now.
No.
You're the CEO.
I think this is the best way to approach this, right? Is to sit down with Marcus Rashford and go, Marcus, what do you want to do next season? Okay? This season has been an absolute shambles, right? It has. You know this. We know this. You haven't performed to the levels. There's obviously problems going on off the pitch. What is going to be best for you next season? Because we think there are a couple clubs that might possibly want to buy you for a good amount of money, which is good for the club. But we need to know if that's good for you. Would you want to move to France or to wherever and play for a different team? Or are you committed to this football club and you want to stay here and you want to turn it around and show everybody the Marcus Rashford that we know is in there? It is in there somewhere. What is best for you? And I think that is where you go from that, okay?
You know what I'd do?
Go on.
I'd walk you into the office, say, Marcus, sit down. I've bought you a present. You'd open it up, and it would be a book that says "Learning French for Dummies."
But this is
you're off to PSG.
Yeah, that's great. You can say you're off to PSG, but you don't have to go. Do you know what I mean? He's cushy. How long? How long's Marcus Rashford got left, lads? 2 years, 3 years?
No, but at 10, he's only just signed a contract.
Exactly,
it's
mate.
Not 10. It's
on what?
5.
350 grand a week.
He ain't going anywhere.
Mate, what's 350 grand a week? 20 mil a year? All right, do you want to go and sign for a new team and have to go and prove yourself all over again and learn the language and settle down? Or do you want to just sort of... You're cushy in Manchester, aren't you? You're on 20 mil a year. You've got all your friends and family around you near you. You know, life's good, isn't it?
I just think that he will stay, and I know he's going to stay, because I was told 2 months ago he's not going anywhere. But it doesn't mean that...
Why do you think he's going to stay?
Because he doesn't want to go.
Okay, why do you think he wants to stay at Man United?
Because it's comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
His family life.
Exactly
it's
that.
Manchester United, it's all he's ever known.
You know that there's probably about another dozen of those Man United players that are in the same basket. That it's comfortable. They're settled. It's nice. Why would I want to go and move? I've still got another 2 years left. I am on 10 mil a year. It's comfortable.
And also for Rashford, he knows if he starts scoring goals, the brand of books and everything else works nowhere else better than Manchester United.
Nowhere else better.
If you leave Man United, you've got to be a footballer.
Yeah.
If you go to PSG, you've got to be a footballer. You go to Arsenal, you've got to be a footballer. At Man United, score a few goals, you can get another book out, you can get another brand deal, and everything's focused around that. But I think that's the problem with Rashford. People will take it out of context. There's a bloody good player there, but he's a light switch player who can switch it on and off, and that's a worry for me. He has got the wrong people around him. And he would be, if he wants to be a footballer, he's 26, 27, you've got 5 years left in your prime. I'd go to PSG. If PSG wanted me, I'll go to PSG as the replacement for Mbappe on purely footballing reasons. I'm going to go there for 2 or 3 years like Kane has at Bayern, and I'm going to focus on my football, and I'll come back to England and I'll prove people wrong when I'm 28, 29.
That sounds incredible.
But he won't do it.
It sounds incredible, right? But
I think that's best for him as well.
The modern footballer doesn't work like that. No. The modern footballer, nobody works like that anymore. Nobody looks that far ahead and says, do you know what, in an ideal world, I just get my head down and focus on my football and really forge a nice story for myself that I can look back in 5 years' time and say, didn't that work out well?
Because it's not just football anymore, is it?
It's not about that anymore. It's not, mate.
It's sad. And I think that, look, it's not, for me with Rashford, I would go, but I like Rashford. He's been one of my favourite players, but we're going round this hamster wheel. And I think next season he'll have a good year, and in a year's time he'll have a bad year, and that's going to keep happening. And I think it's what's best for him. I think he needs to get away. Yeah. But there we go. What about we've spoken about a few people. Bruno Fernandes has been mentioned.
Yeah, Bruno's been saying a few things, hasn't he, the last couple of weeks?
I think he said his last one was, I want to stay. I think the club want me to stay, but if they don't want me to stay, I'll go.
I'll go, yeah.
Which is, why would he's getting mixed messages, is he? Or
no,
what?
He's not getting mixed messages. He is paving the way for a potential something. He either wants a new contract or he wants a move. Yeah? So that's what...
Or do you think he doesn't like the vision of the club?
He wants a new contract 30. Or he wants a move. Simple as that, right? He wants a big 4-year deal at 30 on a little bit more money, and then it's like, right, done. I'm settled then. I am ticked off. I've got more than enough money for the rest of my life after this contract. That's what he will be doing. He'll be angling for a new deal or a move to like a Saudi or something like that.
So he's not looking at it and going, I'm worried who the manager's going to be.
No, come on.
Well, that's what we want to believe.
Nobody does that.
I don't like the project.
No, look, rubbish. Bruno works for Man United, yeah? He does. He's one of your best players. He's fantastic. He's the captain. It works. Give him a new contract, tie him down, make him happy, and he's one of them players that you haven't got to worry about giving a new contract to as well, because once he's got that new contract, he'll still be the same Bruno.
Interesting.
It's an easy win.
I suppose when he's getting all this attention from Saudi Arabia as well, he can say, well, they're going to give me 600 grand a week.
600 grand a week, but I will stay here if you give me 250.
I don't think he'll go. Do you think he'll go?
No, I don't think he will.
No.
I think he is really. I think he's too important to lose, Bruno.
I'm going to try and avoid some of the obvious ones. Luke Shaw missed most of the season. Yeah. I think he's 27, 28 now.
Yeah.
A lot of United fans are saying good player, but injured all the time. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, he's still got 3 years left on his contract. He's not going anywhere, is he?
He ain't going absolutely nowhere. I think Luke Shaw just needs to. I think he's getting the age now where he's probably really starting to learn about his body and what works for him and how to run himself and how to sort of tailor his week to make sure that he's fit for a Saturday afternoon. And I think he's really getting to that point now where I would like to think he should have, hopefully, a bit more sort of sustained, just playing week in, week out. He's a very good player. He's very reliable. You know what you're going to get from him. He's not going anywhere. Simple. Casemiro, I think probably what's happened in the last couple of months has probably put the few nails in the coffin that he would be getting a move to a Saudi or something like that, really. I would have thought so anyway. The way that United fans and the way that the media all reacted to him playing in central defence has just been horrific, mate. Honestly, it's been absolutely horrific. So much so that I think there's probably not much coming back from that, to be honest with you.
He was a lot better yesterday, to be fair. Hopefully we'll get him in the midfield with Varane and Martinez back. Varane's already going.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about next season and what you think's going to happen. But the Varane deal, I'll be honest, when he came on against Brighton yesterday, I went, and relax.
Yeah.
Like, for the first time in weeks, I was like, felt the defence was secure, but he's already gone. Yeah. 30, 31, massive wages, out of contract.
Who Varane is?
Yeah.
He's 30, 31?
Yeah.
Is he? I thought he was like 34, 35.
He's younger than Harry Maguire.
Honestly?
Yeah. And he's played more games than any of our centre-backs this season.
I didn't know that.
So we're getting rid of him for wage and injuries. look, if he goes off to Saudi Arabia, fine. But if he signs for Bayern Munich or Chelsea, we made a fucking mistake.
Have his legs gone a little bit? Do you know what I mean?
I just think he's injury prone. I still think he's our best centre-back. And we've got this wrong if he signs for Bayern Munich. If he goes to Saudi, we've got it right. That's my only thing. Like, if we know the medical stuff and it's like he can't play, fine. But if he goes and has a good season...
you got it wrong if he goes and signs for a Bayern or a Chelsea and he's fit every week and he's playing and he's ripping up trees, then you've got it wrong. But if he goes and signs for a Bayern and Chelsea and he's injured within weeks and he's out for a few months here and a few months there, then that's the reason why. Because
it's a financial decision.
It's a financial decision. You've got to look what output you're going to get from them for what you're going to be paying them. And I understand it. If he's very easy to break down, then the club have to go, listen, he's not going to be fit. We know he's not going to be fit. It's as simple as that.
If you could keep him fit for 50 games.
Yeah, you're cooking, yeah.
What do you think about next season for Man United? I know we're jumping into the unknown because there could be massive outgoings, there could be a manager change, there could be some incomings as well. But looking at the league, and you look at Arsenal and Man City, they don't look like they're going to change massively over the summer. You've still got teams like Villa, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, Newcastle.
Yeah. Wow.
Who are in relatively strong positions, you would think, with stability apart from Liverpool, but they've got a good squad. Next season for Man United, there is this assumption it will be better, and I think it will. But I would say if United finish fourth, that's a really good season.
A massive season, mate. I think it's probably as competitive as it's ever been in the Premier League now. You've got your standout two, the Man City and the Arsenal. I think the reason why they are the standout two is because they are so settled on what they are. The manager, the playing staff. It's still a fairly relatively young playing staff on both teams. And then you got the Liverpool. You don't really know what's going to happen with this new manager. What that's going to look like for Liverpool next season. But then all the other teams that you mentioned, strong teams, like really strong teams.
And some of them have had bad seasons.
And they're all kind of very similar ability-wise. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't. I think you'd struggle to say who would finish where out of Newcastle and Tottenham and Man United. Do you know what I mean? Like all of them teams, Aston Villa, I don't know what order they're going to finish in. They'll all finish in the top 7. I don't know whereabouts, though.
Yeah, mate, you want to check out my video on That's Football, my reacting to my Premier League predictions in August.
What, from last year?
Yeah. I mean, I was pissed when I did them, but I did say Man United win the Champions League, but...
Did you?
Well, I've got Man City winning the league and the FA Cup, which they haven't won the FA Cup yet.
Yeah, that's not like the most incredible insight ever, saying that Man City are going to win the bloody Premier League. But well done.
My dark horse of the season was Brighton.
Well, they were for the first half of the season, and then I
didn't have Spurs in the top 8. Didn't you? I put Villa 8th. Didn't you? But I think that's the point for next year, isn't it? I think Man City and Arsenal first top 2, Liverpool probably 3rd, but from 4th to 8th, when you've got Chelsea, Newcastle, Man United, Villa, Spurs,
I'm not sure about Liverpool. I think Liverpool might be in with...
Well, 2nd to 8th then.
I think in within the rest of you lot for a while. I do. Thiago's leaving them. I saw Matip's leaving them as well on a free.
I thought Thiago had already gone.
But he's an absolute player when he's playing. Do you know what I mean? And being around the place, the experience that he brings there. I think from the first 2 probably nailed on next year, but then there's another 6 teams, mate, 5 or 6 teams that are going to be carnage. Really hard work. It
will be. Well, thanks very much for this season, Ben. I know you've got a busy summer ahead on your bike.
Yeah, we have on the bike, at the Euros, all that. I can't wait, to be honest with you. It's going to be great.
It is. We'll be back I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tonight. But Ben will be back hopefully next season.
Without doubt.
And England hopefully will have won our first tournament of our lifetimes.
Are we going to?
Yeah. Even with Southgate.
Leave him alone.
Look at Foden.
Leave him alone. Oh, God.
He got Saka, Foden, Bellingham, Kane, Rice. If it's now or never. Harry Maguire, he's going to be fit.
You got Saka.
Pickford.
Yeah. Pickford's good goalie.
Playing well.
Yeah, class. Yeah, I agree. We're going to do it.
Thanks, everyone. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Get your comments in on the players you'd get rid of. Ten Hag, what you think about next season. Loads to get your teeth into. Speak to you soon.
Yeah.